that. This is just aimed at the DIYer, isn't it?
Yeah, so right, Chris, can we introduce yourself
Hang on.
to the new channels? Let's tell everyone who you are and what we're going to do today.
My name's Chris Cars, and we're going to have a quick look at a slave cylinder on a Landrover, and we're going to put new seals in, hopefully, and bleed it. Quite simple, but I'm just going to show you a few things on the way.
And what's wrong with this one?
The clutch pedal is hopeless. It's got very little clutch pedal. It won't go into gear. Now, before you start, let me just get ready. Let me just think.
That's all right. We'll edit it all out. It's fine.
All right. Right, you okay?
Yep.
Right. So this is my little demo cylinder. I've just cut it open so that we can see what's going on. Right. So you can change the seals if you want to. You obviously can't really ask a garage to do it because it's too time consuming and they won't be too interested. But if it's your own vehicle and you want to change the seals, you can. Right, so the bore has to be clean, look. If the bore is nice and clean like that, I'll show you how to clean it up in a moment, then you can just put the seals in. I mean, this was leaking. If you can see, and the light's not particularly brilliant, oh, there, look. There's little tiny marks in the seal. I don't know if you can see that. It's not easy to see with the light. But anyway, the fluid is bypassing the seal there. So all the fluid is effectively leaking out the front of the cylinder.
So will you see drips of fluid on the floor?
Yes, it comes out from the bottom of the bell housing. Right. All right, so I can show you, I'll show you how to put the seals on. It's not rocket science, but we'll just have a look at this vehicle and see what, and rip the cylinder off and see what we can do. Maybe not rip the cylinder off, remove it. Right, so I need to get some of the sand on a minute. One moment. Right, so I normally use, or most of us use .4 brake fluid. There are other brake fluids to use, but .4 is by far the most common. Right, so what you must never, sorry, whatever that is. Right, you must never shake the fluid. Right, you must never do this. Do not do this with a bottle of fluid, like I've just done. All right.
What happens if you do?
Because if you do that, all you do is fill the fluid with little tiny air bubbles. So you won't have a full column of fluid anymore. You'll have fluid full of air bubbles. And you've got to wait, I don't know, a couple of days for the air to come out of that fluid.
There's a lot in there.
There is, and I didn't shake it very much, look, but that's how much air you get in the fluid.
Is that a common mistake people do?
Well, probably. I mean, we shake most bottles of fluid, so I guess a lot of people would shake the brake fluid, but you never ever shake it. You just carry it gently. Don't drop it in the car. Just leave it on the shelf and carry it around. And don't shake it. Right. So, brake fluid is hygroscopic, which means it absorbs water. So it's got a shelf life. You know, you can't leave it for years, and you've got to use it within a certain time. I don't know what the time is, but you can't keep it forever. And just as long as you know that it's hygroscopic and it does take in water, that's why the fluid goes black in the cylinder, right? Because it's absorbing water.
Oh, it's not the dirt. It's normally the.
Well, sorry, it will be probably partly to do with the seals, possibly, but it's mainly to do with absorbing water. It deteriorates. All right. Right. So first of all, we'll let the fluid out. There's obviously fluid in there now. Look, and it's quite black because it's been in there a while. And you also should consider whether or not you change the seals in the master cylinder. Some people do it at the same time as they do the slave cylinder. It's quite a good idea too, but you haven't got to. It's up to you.
Do that today?
No, we aren't. I can do it again by all means. Right. So I'm aiming at the DIYer and people that haven't done too much to this. So one thing you must do, the bleed nipple must be at the top of the cylinder. Right. You don't put the cylinder on that way around because you won't get the air out of the cylinder when you try to bleed it. Right, the nipple must always be at the top, right? Because air always goes to the top, so then you can get it out. So on this one, the first thing you can see, I don't know if you can see the cylinder. You need to It's the nipples at the bottom. So you've got no chance of bleeding it at all. This is just a nightmare before you even start. So we'll just take it off and see where we go from there.
Oh, someone put that the wrong way round.
Yes, they have. They fitted it the wrong way round. Right. I'll find something to lie on and get some tools and get underneath. Hang on. Should be draining it first, shouldn't I? Let's see what. Is that right? Right, we'll just drain the fluid out. Hopefully. No. Right, we'll just get the fluid out of the system. You should have gloves on, right? But I'll go and get one now because brake fluid is not very good for you. It's not very nice stuff. But I've been doing this a long time and my skin's about 3 mil thick now, so not quite so bad for me, but you should have it on. But if you just press the clutch pedal and get it all out. That's it. I'll go and get one. Right. Now we can remove the cylinder. Bleed screw. I think that's near enough. 30 mil spanner to undo the pipe. Come on, this anything. Right, take that one off now. There's no fluid left. Obviously easier if you've got a ramp, but we haven't. This is a disused garage. There was 5 ramps in here, but it's closed now. It's all finished, so there's just 1 ramp left. Bear with, just get this pipe out. Come on. This is a bit modified, this has. This is a, well, it's got a, I didn't actually look, it's got 200 or 300 series engine in it. Where it should have been the old style turbo diesel. TD5s have got the cylinder on the other side of the bell housing. But it's all much for muchness. It's just easier to demonstrate this one because the cylinder's on the same side as the master cylinder. That'll be okay, I think. Right then, just find my. I do like this ratchet. The 13 mil bolt, 13 mil headed bolt. It's a good bit of kit, this. Right, so just gently, right, first of all we can just remove that one. Put to one side. Right, and just gently remove the cylinder. Because a push rod is held on by a plastic clip. So you just want to be careful when you remove the cylinder. You don't want to dislodge the push rod. Alright, so that's okay. Alright. Right then. Right, here we are, here's the cylinder. Unfortunately I should have a bench and everything here, but I haven't got such a thing. Just need to get the right, we'll just remove the piston and the spring. Bit of rag. Use that. Right. Right, so you can put seals in if you want to, or put a new cylinder on, whichever you wish. If the board's all nice and clean, which it looks like it is, there's no reason why you can't put seals on it, like I've said. So I'm going to do so. Alright, so just get a pair of scissors a minute and just cut the bag. You obviously get this online, no problem at all. It's readily available. But that's a clip to retain the. That's a clip to that sometimes fits in a groove at the front of the cylinder. This hasn't got that. Right, so just remove the. Hang on, let me find a little tool to remove it with. I like these. This is a pick, and that's a hose removing tool. Alright, so I just gently remove the seal like that. But you must check that the seal is the same diameter. You must check it looks exactly the same. And I think that's fine. It's just this is slightly swollen because the rubber seals do swell with age. Where you can see this is a TD5 cylinder. You'll see that seal is different. So you must put the right seal in the cylinder. All right, we'll leave that for a minute. Put that one on there. And put the spring back on. Obviously, it goes on one way. It doesn't go that way. It's got to go that way. Right, bit of lubrication. I can find some. Rubber grease is quite useful, but I haven't actually got any rubber grease with me. Use a bit of WD-40. Right, and just gently put the piston back in. And then we've got a new cover. Squeeze that one on. And that's it. That clip's not required on this job. Right, so when you push the piston in, you just got to be careful you mustn't bend the seal. Like the seal must go in as it is like that. You mustn't bend the lip of the seal, but they do go in quite easy. Right, that's it. Then open it back on, the right way up.
What happens if you bend the lip of the seal? What would happen?
And then you'll have all the fluid will be in the bell housing. It'll all leak out of the master cylinder, and it'll all come up through there and be in the bottom of the bell housing. But it is quite easy to do. You would struggle to do it wrong. Just be gentle and push it in. Let's say have a little bit of lubricant, rubber grease or WD-40 or something just to help it go in. All right. I'll just explain how this cylinder works. All right. It's quite basic stuff. So when you depress the clutch pedal, it sends fluid down the pipe into this chamber. So effectively it pushes the plunger out of the cylinder and pushes the push rod, which in turn pushes the clutch. All right, so you've got to have a full column of fluid from the master cylinder to the slave cylinder. If you've got air in it, then you reduce the amount of travel you get on the piston. So it must be, that's why it's very important to get the air out and have the nipple at the top, because air will compress and fluid doesn't. So as soon as you reduce the length of the travel, then you have a poor clutch pedal, have difficulty getting it into gear. All right, so it's quite basic stuff. All right. Right, I'm just gonna bend the pipe slightly. Hang on. Right. I've had a ramp for the last 25 years, and now I'm back on the floor. Old enough, really, to be on the floor trying to do it. Right, it can be this might be a little bit awkward because I'm trying to bend the pipe. Hang on. You've got to be careful with the threads. You've got to be careful when you're putting the nut on. You mustn't cross thread it. Like I'm doing. Well, I might have to take the pipe off properly and do it on the bench. So I can't get it in the blooming the cylinder. Right. It is caught now.
What would that be on a Landrover? Would it be a metric thread or an imperial thread?
This is a metric thread. M10 by 0.1. By M10 by 1 mil, I think. I should know. Right. That's better. Right, so put the plunger in the center of the of the cylinder. Right. Sorry, but I know you should wear gloves, but I absolutely can't. I can't stick them, so I've never been used to wearing very much gloves. But right, make sure the surface is tight, clean. You always catch the bolts by hand. You don't rely on a ratchet and just hope for the best, because you just cross-thread it, and that's the end of that. Just create more problems. So, catch it like that first. Finally, I will just tighten up the pipe before I tighten up the cylinder. But like I said, you can't expect a garage to do this. They'll just put a new cylinder on, which is fair enough, because if it goes in 6 months' time, you'll be shouting at them, asking them to do it again. So, but nothing to stop you doing that on your own vehicle. Right, I've just hand tightened that for a minute. Right. Right, I don't need to be. Every single bolt on a vehicle has a torque, but I don't know what the torque is. I'm sorry, because I'm old school and it's just engineer's feel. So I don't know what it should be, but you can find it if necessary, or you just do it up. That's it, and that is tight enough. Right, so now you do tighten up the pipe. Like so. That's it. Right. Now we can bleed it. Right, so you just need the bleed nipple undone sort of half a turn. You don't need it undone very much. Right. Right, the pipe is on. Right, get some brake fluid. Right, you never shake the bottle. I know with lots of fluids you do shake the bottle, but you never ever do it with brake fluid. Because all you do is fill the bottle with tiny air bubbles, or fill the fluid with tiny air bubbles, and then you've got brake fluid full of air. So just keep the bottle as it is and fill the cylinder. And it will gravity, because it's higher than the slave cylinder, it will come out with gravity in a minute. Just press the clutch pedal. You've only got a couple of pumps with the pedal, because otherwise it will empty the cylinder. So just do that. And then check the master cylinder. I'll just apply it. I'll just do it again because the cylinder's not going down. Though the nipple is open, I can feel resistance. It must be going down now, is it?
Yeah.
Right, you don't want to empty the cylinder. You've got to put fluid in. You mustn't, as soon as you empty the cylinder, you're going to introduce air into the system again. So make sure the cylinder is full.
Stop.
Should have perhaps, hang on, how much is in it now? Should have perhaps cleaned the,
Go on.
right, that is, well, I've gone, that's too far.
Yeah, it was all right, and then it just finished.
Yeah, that's fine. It doesn't matter. See, it can, once it starts going, the only thing is I should have cleaned the cylinder out.
It's a bit dirty, isn't it?
But I should have done that before I should have cleaned the cylinder out before I put the new fluid in. We'll cut and we'll do that again. So it's not easy when you're trying to do it on the camera.
So what have you just done, Chris?
I've messed up.
What have you done?
You need to put a little bit of rag in the mass cylinder and just wipe it around and clean out the residue of the old brake fluid. Because you could see there was that stuff in the fluid. So we'll just wipe it out and do that again. Hang on. And we should have a workbench to do it as well, but I say there's nothing in this building. It's all empty. Or very little in the building. Right. So with your glove on, right, because brake fluid is not very good for you, wipe the cylinder. Just get rid of the black that's in there, the residue of the old fluid. Right? Right. I'll try again. So, fill the reservoir with the new fluid. Right, that's better. Because it had like little black lines in it. It had contamination in the new fluid, but you can see now there's very, very little indeed. That's decent clean fluid. Right. So, like we said, press the clutch pedal. Two or three times. Right, I can feel resistance now. So the fluid must be going down. I can feel resistance on the pedal. And that sounds like it's emptied. The chap operating the camera could have said, really? They are silly little cylinders. It's easier to do with two people because they can tell you when the fluid's down.
Shall I hold it and then I can add the fluid?
Thank you. Oh, hang on. I'll put the lid on. Hang on. Right, it's got to be dot floor.
It's got to be dot 4.
Well, not got to be, but dot floor is the most common. It's a very, very popular fluid. That's what most people use. Right. I can feel resistance now, so
Run out of fluid.
I'll just tighten the nipple. I've got more fluid if necessary. Well, I don't know if you can see. Can you? Right, the pipe should be clear of air bubbles. Right, you can see this clear pipe, and it is. It's just a continuous column of fluid, look. Right, so that's what you need. Right, so I will just tighten the nipple. All right, right, that's it. Just before I move the pipe, I've tightened the nipple. I'll just. Is it that low? Is that? Sorry. Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it still had fluid in it, did it?
Yes, just.
That's fine. It must have fluid. You can't let it go. You can't empty the cylinder. Right. That's okay. If you come here now and just right. So the cylinder's full. Look, all right. It's full of fluid, as you can see. It's nice, clean fluid. So you can put the lid on. And be careful not to cross thread the seat as well. It'll just go on easy if you've got it right. Okay, just nip that up, and then just put the rubber nipple on the rubber cap on the nipple. Right, so pull the pipe off and just put the cap on, and that's it. Bollocks.
What have you done?
Left that bit out, look.
What bit?
Do you
the most important gasket?
Do you think anybody's seen that?
So Chris, just explain to the viewers what you've just done.
Right, sorry. This is so embarrassing. Right, for whatever reason, that shim, maybe a complete amateur, that shim should be in front of the cylinder.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna not show the viewers if anybody decides to view it.
It's okay, we'll edit this out. We definitely won't put this in.
No, I know it makes me look a complete idiot, but I'm just not used to being videoed. Right. Now just remove the 2 bolts, gently remove the cylinder, like I said. Put that one back on. Come on. And as usual, when you're trying to show somebody, right, just got to wiggle the cylinder slightly and it'll catch, like it has. Right. That's it. Right. You can use the ratchet, or you can use a spanner just to tighten them up, make sure they're tight. Might be as well to do that. All right, that's as tight as it's got to be. You haven't got to put a bar on it and lever them on. Just reasonable force. Oopsie. Reasonable force on the spanner. All right? That's all you've got to do. Right, that's it.
So, Chris, the parts for the cylinder, the seals, how much would they cost?
Right, that seal kit was about a fiver, I think. Where a cylinder is, well, depending on where you buy it all, 30 pounds probably for a cylinder, maybe 40 pounds. But one thing I must mention, because I did have this once, right, you haven't got to buy a genuine cylinder, just buy a good quality cylinder if you're going to put a cylinder on and not seals. Because I bought a Huflung Dung cylinder, right, and the nipple was, it was manufactured, so the drilling was part way down the down the cylinder. So when you bleed it, you end up with air trapped in the very top of the cylinder because the drilling is part way down. On this one, hang on, the drilling is there, look, right at the top where it should be. So there's no way you can get all the air will come out. But like I said, the one that I bought, the cheap one, was like there. So it's very, very difficult to get all the air out. All right, so you haven't got to buy genuine, but just get a decent quality one. That's all you've got to do. All right, or put seals in it, whichever.
But not get a Huflung Dung?
No, not a Huflung Dung cylinder. No,
no. Wrong, wouldn't
it very wrong.
So this is, would you say, an easy job for a DIY person to do, and how much would it save them if they went to a garage and did it themselves?
Right, well, garages are busy and in decline in the area that I'm in. So this would save you a considerable amount of money. It would save you, I don't know, 80, 100, 120 pounds probably it would save you, I would guess. I mean, garages have got massive overheads. I'm not knocking garages one little bit. They're very, very busy, and it's a stressful thing to be doing. So, but you can save a lot of money if you have a go at it yourself. So, as regards, it's not very difficult a job to do. I mean, I've made a complete hash of it. I've forgotten to put the gasket in, but you can see it's not a difficult job to do. So if you've got some idea, you can have a go. It's quite easy to bleed. If the nipple's at the top, if the bleed nipple's at the top of the cylinder, it should be easy to bleed. It's got a bit of an issue with the light, that's it. Right, so...
Stop.
Right, so you should have pressure at the top of the pedal. You always get a little bit of free play in the linkage and so forth, but that is hard to push from there down. Right, so I can't push it with my hand. So if I get in, right, I can feel that's a brilliant pedal. Right, it's solid from there onwards. So that'll be absolutely fine. That'll release the clutch and it'll go into gear perfectly. All right, so that's what you want. Right, now I can show you the master cylinder. Not today, I can't. But if the master cylinder is leaking fluid, it generally leaks off the bottom of the clutch pedal. So if you see a little puddle here, on the mat or whatever you got in the vehicle, then that's a good sign that the master cylinder is leaking fluid. Right, but that's fine. That's it.